Welcome to another video.
So, is China safe? Well, the whole purpose for me starting this YouTube channel in the first place was to prove to my friends and family that China was safe, interesting, and not the place that you hear about on the news. So, the answer to that question is yes, China is very safe. However, there are a couple of things here in China which aren't very safe, and that's the reason why I'm making this video. Now I'm going to break this down into different areas, and the first area we're going to talk about as far as safety is concerned is, of course, public safety. Just you walking around in general out here, you know, at night in the cities. And I'm going to say, as far as that's concerned, China is top-notch. It's an incredibly safe place to just meander around. You don't need to worry about your personal safety. You don't need to worry about getting mugged or attacked randomly as you walk around in the streets. And people are generally very friendly and hospitable. And this is the absolute truth. I'm talking from experience here. I've been living in China over 10 years. And for those of you who may say, but you live in Shenzhen, which is a first-tier city. No, I've been all over China. I have been to almost every province except for, you know, up in the northwest, those politically sensitive areas like Tibet and Xinjiang, because as a foreigner, it's very difficult to go there. First of all, you need a minder and you need permits. And second of all, I'm just not interested in all that hassle, and it's never been appealing for me to go there. Anyway, that aside, I have been to all of the first-tier cities. I've been to tons of second, third, fourth-tier cities, 100-tier cities, although those don't exist. My motorcycle trips, I've been through like rural villages. I've been in the mountains. I've been everywhere in China. And I know for a fact that it is very safe. Over the years, I've stumbled through dark alleys in the most dangerous parts of town and so forth, and I haven't had any major problems. I can let my wife go down to the shops by herself 10, 11, 12 midnight, and I don't need to worry. Whereas, for instance, in South Africa, I would never dream of letting anybody I cared about go by themselves outside at night anywhere. Even in a restaurant, you have to escort your girlfriend or your wife or whatever to the toilet if it's a little out of sight, you know, and wait for them to finish and then bring them back because, you know, it's so dangerous there. But here in China, you can rest at ease, and it's one of the things I love about living in China is the fact that it's very safe in general. But now let's talk about some of the parts which aren't very safe. And we're going to move on to the next one, which is something that affects everybody here, and that is traffic. Now, traffic is appalling here in China. People drive chaotically and they don't obey the road rules. Now, I've had comments below by Chinese and also Western subscribers who say, yes, but China has its own special way of driving. You have to adapt to the Chinese way of driving. You know, it's their rules, their country, and if you can't, you know, put up with it, then get out of China type thing. But no, all right? I have a Chinese driver's license. I have passed the Chinese driver's license test, and the rules are exactly the same. It's based on sort of the international rule system. Don't cross over solid yellow lines. Use your indicator. Look before you turn. Give right of way. All that kind of thing. It's in the test, but nobody practices it here. In fact, I suggest that car manufacturers who produce cars in China just save costs by removing the indicator lever, because nobody uses indicators here. And that's a fact. You can drive around, you'll see no one uses indicators. On top of that, if someone's coming up to an intersection, you know, usually you'll stop and look and make sure nobody's coming, but they don't. They'll just pull out. That's just the way it is. Now, there is a sort of a plus to all of this chaos, and that is that people tend to drive very slowly in China, so there are less high-speed impacts. However, pedestrian fatalities, cyclist fatalities, motorcyclist fatalities are off the charts. Every single time that I've been on a motorcycle trip through China, every single time, bar none, I have seen a fatality on the road. And this is usually a motorcyclist who's pulled out and been hit by a truck, or a cyclist or pedestrian that's been run over, and it's gory. You know, you see decapitations, you see people crushed in half. It's disgusting. and I see it every single time. And that is because people that are in cars and who are in trucks have no respect for pedestrians or cyclists or people on motorcycles. So you take your life into your own hands when you go wandering around here in China. It's chaotic. People jaywalk everywhere, even in the big cities like Shenzhen and Shanghai, etc. People will just blindly walk over a road without looking left and right. So it's pedestrians' fault, it's drivers' fault, whoever's fault it is. It's chaotic, and you have to be on your toes, and you have to be very careful, because following the rules doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be safe. For instance, if the light is green for pedestrian crossing and you just blindly go over the road, you're liable to get hit because people ignore red lights, things like that. So you have to be on your toes, you have to pay very close attention to where you're going and be aware of what's going on around you as a pedestrian or a cyclist here. So that's a big warning. Traffic safety in China is very, very, very bad. Very bad, okay? So public safety walking around, very good. Traffic safety, very bad. Next thing that I have to talk about, which affects everyone, of course, is food safety. Now this is a very worrying one, and anyone like myself who's been living here for so long has seen the bad effects on their health that the Chinese food in general has. Now, it's unfair to say all food is poison and toxic and bad in China, because that isn't the case, right? You can go buy your fresh vegetables at the wet market every day. However, the problem is those fresh vegetables that you're buying are usually grown on sort of little farms that are sort of privately owned and run by, I don't know, little farmers. Here in the city, you'll always see in any kind of housing complex, you'll see sort of the grandmothers and stuff still kind of grow their own vegetables. It's really nice. I think it's really cool. However, where these vegetables are being grown, the soil is very often contaminated because of factories and things like that, and you never really know. There's no quality control. You don't know what you're eating. It could be safe, it could not be safe. You can go to very expensive restaurants and go to very pricey supermarkets and be more or less guaranteed that the food you're buying there is clean and safe and good, but you do pay a lot for it. It's very expensive. However, big supermarkets, big chains are not exempt from food scandals. And there's an unfortunate reality here in China that people are not very forward thinking. If they see they can make some money now, they don't think of the consequences and they will grab the money, and unfortunately that results in the things like that milk powder scandal, which killed a whole bunch of babies. And even myself, I was drinking milk, at the time, and I developed like these weird lines in my fingernails from that. I was here during that whole milk scandal. And literally at the same time that happened, I developed these really weird lines in my fingernails from drinking that milk. Luckily that went away, and the milk scandal, obviously the people were punished and all that. But it didn't stop other people from doing similar things, like selling contaminated or expired meat. And, for instance, this new scandal about, it's not really food related, but with the vaccinations that were being sold that had not been refrigerated. So unfortunately, there's always the chance that you're going to be eating poison or expired or bad quality food in China. And even KFC and McDonald's, big people like that, they weren't exempt. What is it, a couple of years ago there was that huge scandal, and it found out that one of their suppliers here was basically sourcing bad meat, and so even big companies like that. So I'd say as far as food safety is concerned here in China, I couldn't really give you an estimate, but I personally think it's really bad, and I would love to say that it's not, because I love Chinese food and I think that the food culture here is amazing. And I love the fact that there's this whole agricultural sort of society where you've got people growing vegetables in their spare time, and the whole thing that people love to go to the market early in the morning to go buy their fresh meat and vegetables for the day. They don't really keep stuff, they don't refrigerate stuff, that kind of thing. It seems really healthy, it seems really good, and it's very positive and it's very nice, and I appreciate all of that. However, the fact that people are willing to sell expired, discarded, toxic stuff to make a quick buck really kind of destroys all of that and basically puts the China food safety levels way down low. So I'm going to give it a bad score. Be careful what you buy, be careful where you eat, follow your common sense. If you want to make sure your health is okay, try your best to shop at the more sort of upmarket places. So there you have it. It's fairly straightforward. China is still a developing country, so you do get more sophisticated, more intelligent, better educated people all around you. You do get people trying to do the right thing. There are safety standards, etc., etc. However, because it's developing, you will always have the more, how should we say, uneducated, opportunistic sort of people spoiling it for everyone else. So China, and as a whole I should say, is actually very safe, and I've enjoyed my 10 years here so far, and hopefully many years to come. However, you must of course acknowledge that there are problems, and I'm talking to my Chinese subscribers right now. Please don't get too offensive and try to be too crazy in the comments here. I'm just speaking the truth. This is what I have observed over the years living here, and I will continue to make truthful videos about what I see here in China. I obviously love China. That's why I've lived here for so long. I have a Chinese wife, I have Chinese friends, and I continue to enjoy living in China. So I can't wait to see all of you in the next video, and until next time, boy, it's sunny out here. Until next time, give me a second. As always, guys, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, stay awesome.